Um, so the recording has started. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter your questions in the chat box, and we will do our best to get to them throughout the presentation. And I think we are ready to go now. We're in for a real treat today. We are going to explore traditional cultural dishes, traditional cultural and holiday dishes from all around the world. Our guests today are Van Nguyen, Executive Director with Project Feast, and Kazer Ahmed, an alumni of Project Feast. And Project Feast is an organization whose mission is to transform the lives of refugees and immigrants by providing pathways to sustainable employment in the food industry and to enrich communities through intercultural exchange. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to our presenters, Van and Kazer. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, KCLS, for inviting us to do this class. My name is Van Nguyen, Executive Director of Project Feast, and this is
Kazer Ahmed, and I'm the chef instructor at Project Feast.
And unfortunately, none of our alumni or other staffers could be here, but we are here in their stead, and we are so excited to share some of our favorite dishes that we bring to the holiday table as immigrants. And so, without further ado, I'm going to start, and I'm here to share egg rolls, Vietnamese egg rolls. And so, any holiday, any festivity in Vietnam, you will find egg rolls for sure. And it's really funny. I grew up with us making it from scratch because that's what my mom did. But I remember going, the first time I went back to Vietnam in 1995, we had a big party and they bought the egg rolls. People don't make things from scratch in Vietnam because it's so easy to buy them already made. So I guess I'm saying this is a skill here that we are teaching you how to make these recipes. But yeah, so my favorite egg rolls from my mom. So with Vietnamese egg rolls, usually they're meat forward. And so we usually use pork. Today I'm using chicken. We do have vegetarian options as well. So you can always substitute the meat with cabbage and tofu. But of course, I love my mom's recipe. I use ground chicken so that Kazer could eat with us. And there's, these are the, oh yeah, sorry. So I don't know if you can see it on our other camera here. So in this bowl, there is the ground chicken. There's shrimp that has been deveined, smashed and minced up. There is jicama, and for those of you who don't know, jicama is a root vegetable, and I saved half of it, so you can picture the other half. It has like a crunchy texture and is really sweet, and I love this vegetable in my egg rolls, and maybe it's because I grew up with it. I know that lots of people do not. I've had arguments with other Vietnamese folks about this. A lot of people use taro, and taro also gives it a different texture, but it's not crunchy. It's like, to me, it's kind of like adding mashed potatoes to your egg rolls, which I prefer. I don't prefer. I also like the taste of the jicama too. So there's jicama, there's noodles. These are dried vermicelli noodles. So you just soak these in hot water and then cut them up. And these are rice noodles, so they are gluten-free. And these are dried wood ear mushrooms. So again, these also you soak in hot water for a few minutes and you cut them up. And you add them, and there's green onions. You can add other stuff. My mom used to add carrots for their sweetness and color. But that's the basics of it. Then you put in a raw egg that binds it together. So kind of like making meatballs. And so the filling itself is gluten-free. We're going to show you how to wrap it 2 ways, because I noticed Valerie is a viewer, and I know Valerie is one of our customers, and she is a gluten-free person. So I want to make sure she could eat this too. But this is the wrapper that I grew up with. So these are wheat wrappers. This is the brand that I prefer. I've tried a lot. These are the crispiest, and they fry up really golden, which I like. Well, I'm also going to show you another way with rice paper. So this is the traditional way in Vietnam. This is what you generally will find, or at least back in the old days. This is a rice paper, and it's actually a lot easier to work with, I found out this morning, than the wheat paper, because it doesn't tear as easily. So you wet it. We'll make these in a minute, but you wet it, and then you just let it sit for a minute, and then you roll it up. Okay, so we'll start, and we're going to use the wheat ones first. So basically, it comes in a square, the ones I bought. I cut them in half, and then you peel them apart. Kazer will help me here. So you just want one. So they come in layers. Just peel them apart.
So you cut them into a triangle.
You cut them into a triangle, and you just peel them. This is where if you have children, they come in handy. My kids love helping me with these. I'm just gonna do two. Okay. Then take a little bit.
So I guess
You want to
switch to that. Yeah.
showcase the other camera. You can see what I'm doing here. There you go.
Yeah.
There. So a big spoonful. I always kind of overstuff my egg rolls, which is bad. It tears. The great thing is if it tears on your first roll, you just wrap it again in another roll. It'll be extra crispy. Okay. So yeah, spread it out. And then you put one of the triangle ends over. You wrap it up with the other end like that.
Okay.
Okay, like an envelope. And you roll it. You want to keep it tight because if it's loose, the filling will not will move around.
Right.
When you fry it, and it will pop open usually. So as tight as you can get it without tearing it. Then we wet it. Oh, can you grab the eggs over there?
Oh yeah.
So I have an egg that we beat up.
There's some spoons there.
I tend to use
I-
my fingers. I'll do a
Prefer that. So you just see
wet the tip of your wrapper. You do this, and then I always give it a little roll at the end. It gives it a nice little round shape.
Oh, yeah.
So there's, yeah.
It's funny.
So we'll try.
Yours
Mine's
is
a little
more-
chubby guy.
Yeah, yours a chubby guy. Mine is a long one.
Hey, Van.
Yes.
The wrappers, are those easily attainable? Can you buy them pretty much anywhere?
Well, I usually go to the Asian store, so any of the Asian markets will have these wrappers in the frozen section. And there's lots of different varieties. I have seen wrappers like at Safeway, Whole Foods, and those stores, but I don't like them as much. So they don't have a lot of selection, as you can imagine, because they probably don't sell a lot. But what I found was more like the big egg roll wrappers that you find at Chinese restaurants. So they brown up nicely, but they're thicker. And so to me, they're not as crispy as if you get the ones from the Asian stores. But it's your preference. But yes, if that's your only option, you should be able to find them. I'm gonna do this sweet one, and then we'll switch over to
Oh
the
my God. Can't see it.
Yeah, my mom had me rolling egg rolls. I was very young. I don't know what age, but I then got very, I was very proud of my egg rolls. And then when someone had a criticism, I took offense to it. Even though I never made the egg rolls, I just rolled it. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna do one of the rice paper ones. As you can see, so it was hard. So it's really hard. I mean, this is really breakable. But if you, I don't know what camera. This is a bucket of water I have. It's just plain water. You soak these, you just dip it. That's all you need to do. And you let it sit for a minute. These are the same wrappers that they use in restaurants for what they call spring rolls. So you can have boiled pork and shrimp. It's called loy gung, is what Vietnamese call it. Those are really tasty too. But we found out, so we fried a few this morning, and they fried up nicely. They don't get brown because the outside just puffs up a little bit. They're kind of chewy. So it's a really interesting, I haven't had these in a long time, and I don't remember ever making these. But I've had them in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, this was, if you go to Hue, in central Vietnam, which is the old imperial capital, the kings and the emperors used to love these, but they have a really petite, really small ones, so you just pop them in your mouth. But they do it this way. But what's great about these is you don't need to dip the end in egg or anything because it's already wet. So there's that. So they roll up really nicely, like I said. We'll put that there. I'll do this last one. Let me get the oil started. Then you just fry it up. So we're just gonna fry these up in oil. Do you want to do another one of those or this? I just don't want to waste the filling.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Which one do you want? One of this, like the oil is
So
heating
while the
up,
oil is heating up. Yeah.
and you can do one more.
I do that. Oh. I will do this one. We'll be fry it up, we'll show you the difference in how they fry up. While I'm waiting for that one to get soft and the oil to heat up, we made a dipping sauce. So the dipping sauce is really just sugar, fish sauce, and lime juice. And then you can add chilies. And I wanted to show you the fish sauce we use. I kind of use every possibility to promote this fish sauce. I love this fish sauce. I don't know if you can see it. This is Red Boat. It's from Phu Quoc, Vietnam. So Phu Quoc is an island where that is known for making fish sauce. But this one came out in recent years. It is 100% anchovy. And so that's the fish sauce is made from fermented fish. And so if you compare these to other brands on the market, other brands have other stuff added. This does not. So that's why I really like this. The color is really beautiful too. If you notice the colors are really dark amber. So my favorite fish sauce. So we use just a little sugar, a little lime juice, fish sauce, and water. And then I like my sauce a little spicy. So we always have some of these Thai chilies in the freezer. They freeze really well. And I just set them out this morning and then I just cut them in. That just adds a nice little spiciness. So I've done this at home. My 6-year-old who does not like spicy food, she loves this sauce. It really doesn't. It's only spicy if you accidentally eat the pepper, but I think it makes the sauce look really pretty as well. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna test
So,
my.
Van, I have a quick question. Is that fish sauce spicy or natural? Do you,
No. Fish sauce is always natural. When you buy it, it should not be spicy. It's just salty. So this is what Vietnamese people use a lot in their cooking. Instead of salt, we use fish sauce. So that's our umami and our saltiness.
and
But
it's
the
called,
only way.
and it's called Red Boat, correct?
Yes, Red Boat is the brand I like. There's a lot of different brands out there, but that's my favorite. Let me just roll up this last egg roll. I don't want to waste this meat here. Okay. So test the oil. Wash my hands quickly. See if our oil is hot enough. So the way my mom taught me to test oil is with something wooden, like a wooden spoon or chopstick. You just put one end in. If it starts bubbling, then you know it's ready. It's ready.
So, Van, sorry to interrupt. We just have a couple of folks asking if we can zoom a little closer on the ingredients. Unfortunately, we only have the 2 cameras, and we'll do our best to to show you the ingredients on the other camera. But for now, these are the only 2 cameras that we have, and again, we'll do our best to put the names of them if we can in chat, and then just show them to you in the camera.
So these are vermicelli noodles. Sometimes you find them. This has a bright pink wrapper. Those are the kinds that I grew up with, so that's what I kind of look for at the grocery store, but these did not have that. But they're just the thinnest, these are the thinnest noodles you can find, but they're rice, they're made out of rice. And then we have, these are wood ear mushrooms. And I buy the ones that are already sliced, so usually they're big and floppy, they're like an elephant ear. And yeah, but I get lazy when I chop, and so I buy these already made, they're really convenient. And you can see there's just yeah, they're already sliced for you. So they're dehydrated, so they last a while. I mean, if I run out, I just get some and stick them in my pantry. They taste good with a lot of things. They are crunchy, so it's a mushroom, but it's thin and crunchy. So it's a really nice texture. And this is a jicama. Usually they're bigger. I was actually really surprised to find one this small, but as you can see, I only used half of it. So it's always a struggle for me to how to use the other half. I know we had some Mexican apprentices, and they use this in a fruit salad, and so that was interesting to me. But it's sweet. It's sweet like a watermelon, but just has a firmer texture. Any other products that you want to see? Well, then here's this. You already showed. I showed. Well, here's the wrapper I like. I've tried a lot, and so I swear by these. And then and here's the Red Boat. I love this sauce. I think I've seen them. I know I've seen them besides the Asian stores. I believe someone sent me a photo from Costco. Costco carries them. Get these egg rolls here.
Thank you, Van. We did get a good shot of those.
Okay, great. So let's see. As these fry up, it shouldn't take too long because our meat wasn't too cold. So it should really only be, I'd say 3 to 5 minutes. When they start floating and then getting into again a nice golden color, that's when I know it's done. Okay, so that's egg rolls. Now we were going to I'll plate them later. Well, you know, we have some egg rolls already done. But we'll plate them at the end with all the different ones. Yeah, this is from Mandu. We don't need this yet. So we wanted to show you Mandu. So our staffer, who's also an alumni, who was going to be here. She was going to show you mandu, which is the Korean word for a pot sticker. You might be more familiar with pot sticker, or gyoza, dumpling, whatever you want to call it. But these are also a holiday favorite for a lot of Asian cultures, and I think a lot of Eastern cultures have pot stickers, right? I've had a lot of Russian dumplings, a lot of other different kinds of dumplings out there. And even with pot stickers, you can do all kinds of filling. And so again, today we went with ground chicken. So our filling has ground chicken in it. It's got Napa cabbage. It has some of those noodles because I had extra. I just don't like to waste anything. And green onions. And this one is flavored with soy sauce. So soy sauce and a little sesame oil. So a little different flavor. But I know we made vegetarian ones for our restaurant at one time, and we used tofu. That was just substituting the chicken for tofu. A lot of Korean mandu you'll see has ground beef in it. Those are delicious too. And so for these, I did not put it on. I'll do that. Okay, so for the pot stickers, we use this is the wrappers I use, gyoza. So any round one works. You can actually make the wrappers themselves. So for holidays and for parties, we actually have a dumpling wrapping party because it's really easy if you have an assembly line going. And I have a friend who's excellent at rolling out the dough. That's one task I don't like, but he enjoys it. And so I remember this was the Lunar New Year, right before COVID hit. We had a dumpling party and we made like hundreds of these. And they were really delicious, and it's such a fun way to spend time with your family and friends. And I have to say, I mean, the homemade dumplings, the wrappers can be a little thicker, so it's more rustic. You know, lots of people like that. They're also much easier to work with. I realized that this morning when I was wrapping some of these. You cannot put too much filling, and so that's always my problem. I always try to stuff as much filling as I can in these. But you can really you have to have just a little bit of filling. And these are wheat. These are wheat wrappers. I don't know if we can get gluten free. So, yeah. Sorry, let me pull out these egg rolls quickly.
So just a reminder to our attendees, you can put your questions in the chat, and there will also be an opportunity at the end to take questions. And we will also be following up at the end of the program with an email with the recipes as well. So you will have another opportunity to receive the recipes.
You can see these egg rolls that we just fried up. So the golden ones are the regular wheat wrappers. And you see how nice and golden they are. And then the white ones are the rice wrappers. So they look totally different. And then when you eat these white ones, they do get a little sticky, but they're actually both really delicious. We'll plate them later at the end of the show. I guess this color will really might show. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap these pot stickers. And I actually really enjoy these. It's really calming to do. I just get my filling going. I get my dumpling wrappers, the dumplings ready. And these, the easy way to get them apart is just to twist it a little bit, and you can see they separate really easily. Okay, so I got a little round wrapper, a little bit of meat filling. Just afraid it's gonna squeeze out. And then I wet, this is just water that I'm using. I wet the outside, and then I just, close the circle. Oh, this may actually be okay. So when you fold and the meat starts squeezing out, that's when you know you put way too much. So when now you have like a half circle, and then you have to crimp it. You just I kind of use my nail and I push it against my nail. I don't know if you can see that. You get that little crimping action in the top. There's one. We have a tray. We're just gonna make a few. I'm gonna try one.
I will try.
And it's really interesting. Like, I know I eat dumplings a lot, and our staffer Yun, who can be here, she also eats dumplings. But when they were here, they had never made a dumpling before, because again, like the egg rolls in their country, they're from South Korea. They're just so easy to get dumplings, right? Why would you go through all this trouble at home? And so they just go out and get dumplings. So the first time they made these dumplings was here in our Project Feast kitchen. And then we taught our other apprentices to do it at that time too. So it's really fun. We had to make quite a few, so it wasn't as much fun at the end. That was a lot of work, but it was good. It was good. They turned out really well. I'm just gonna do a couple. So again, just a little. My fear is that you put just too little, right? It doesn't taste good. It tastes just like it's just a pastry. So I want to make sure I get my meat in here. Just turn out. Oh, hers are beautiful. But yeah, if you had fresh dough wrappers, you can really crimp it really nicely. I have only made fresh wrappers when I make the soup dumplings, the xiaolongbao. Those you have to make the dough fresh, or else it does tear. And that's a 2 to 3 day process, because for the xiaolongbaos you have to make the stock, right? And you have to let the stock sit and gel up. Then you cut into cubes. You could use the same filling. You add the cubes to it, and then you fill it up. Those are really delicious, but very labor intensive. Beautiful. There. I think we'll just make these 3. And so for these, okay, so dumplings you can cook many different ways. You can boil them. That's probably the easiest. You can steam them. You can pan fry them. That's my favorite way. So we're going to do that today. You can also deep fry them. I was looking at our hot oil. Just deep fry some too. But if you're going to pan fry them, most important is to get your pan hot first. Then you add in the oil. You want to use a good amount, because when you add in the oil, that's what crisps up the bottom. And then you add a little water, just about 2 to 3 tablespoons full. And then you cover them. You let them steam. It doesn't take too long.
How much oil do you use, Van?
Let me pour in some oil. I would say a 12-inch pan. And I don't know if you saw. So that's about a 1/4 cup maybe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, it's important to get your pan hot first, because I learned this recently. Because then when you put in the oil, it expands. When you heat up your pan, it expands. So I mean, it's hard to conceive. I just can't wrap my mind around it, but it expands. And so when you pour in the oil, when it's hot, it gets every surface. That's what makes your pan non-stick. Hopefully we'll see. My luck with dumplings are, I don't know, 50%. Sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't. But they're always good. Okay, so I'm just gonna put these in. So I just kind of put them in a circle as many as I can fit, all the way around.
Definitely show that. It's a great technique. So pretty.
Does anyone have any questions while I do this here? I'll show you how I leave them up after I get this done.
So go ahead and put your questions in chat, and we'll take your questions. We have one more dish to go, and we will have an opportunity to ask direct questions and unmute once the dishes are done, so that we have an opportunity to have a conversation.
Well, what's your favorite dumpling place, Cosner?
Oh, well, I'm pretty new to Seattle. And my daughter has a lot of good dumpling mixes. So she's the one who orders dumplings for me. And I just eat them.
Okay, so let me try to show you. So, yeah, so this is, can you, which camera? This one. There you go, yeah. So I just lay them in a circle. Usually I try to stuff as many as I can. I could probably fit a few more, but
This
these
is
are,
so pretty.
these
Oh, you
are what
can
we
show
make.
it there now.
all right, let me get these on there. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna get this back on. I'm gonna let it cook a little bit. I really want it to crisp up on the bottom, and I'm gonna get my water ready. For this pan, I'm gonna probably do half a cup. We'll see. I used to put in a lot of water, and then my husband said that that's not the right way to do it, and he was correct because it doesn't really need a lot of water to cook, because you're not boiling them, right? You're just trying to steam them up. So once you put the lid on, it should take just 5 minutes, if even, to cook up. So I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you. But the bottom is starting to brown already, and so I know that that's when it's ready for water. The bottom of this, a little brown. So that's what I was looking for. And I'll pour in the water. Be careful because there's hot oil in your pan, so don't spray yourself. And I actually only used half of it, so it was a quarter cup of water that I used. Okay, so I'm gonna let that cook. And then we made a sauce. So we made a Korean style sauce. So this is soy sauce with with vinegar, a little sugar, and the Korean gochugaru is a Korean chili powder. Let me get the bag to show you. Now there's so many different brands of these. This is just what happened to be at our grocery, our Asian store. I just look for a powder that comes from Korea because you know it's correct. Because there's a lot of countries that have different chili powders, right? These are not too spicy. I think they have a little peppery flavor to it, and it's really nice. And I added some green onions to add some color to it. So this will be our dipping sauce later. All right, so I'm gonna hand you guys off to Kaiser while the gyoza is cooking, and she's gonna show you one of her favorite holiday gifts. All right, I'm gonna just get these things out of the way quickly. My ingredients are set up here.
So our favorite holiday meals are an assortment of kebabs, different kinds of kebabs, vegetarian and meat. It could be chicken, it could be lamb, a lot of lamb, goat meat, chicken, beef, and potatoes. My favorite are the potato ones. So I love the chicken ones too. So the first thing I want to show you all is making potato cutlets, or as we call it, aloo tikki. Aloo are potatoes and tikki are little cutlets. I had four potatoes, just use any yellow potatoes. Boil them, I boil them whole with the skin on, and then just peel them and mash them. And that's what we have done over here. And the spices, that's the main thing in this. You can keep the spices as simple as just having pepper and salt in it, and cumin. Definitely we use a lot of cumin. But the way I make it, and traditionally they are a little spiced up and they have a lot of flavor in it, a lot of crunch in it as well. And the best thing about this is that you can make them big like a burger patty and make vegetarian burgers out of it. It's delicious. So I've got the mashed potatoes over here, and I'm going to be adding in, I'm just making sure, yeah. So garam masala, which is allspice. So garam masala can really overpower a dish. So you need to be very mindful of that. So I just added a 1/4 teaspoon of that. And then of course you can just taste the spices. Now, red chili powder, you'll notice that our red chili powder is really, really bright red, and this is pure chili powder. It's made out of pure dundee cut peppers. They are dry peppers, almost like Scotch bonnet peppers. And it's there's nothing else mixed in it, so it's really spicy. So if you like it spicy, go ahead and add a whole teaspoon, but I just added a little more than quarter teaspoon. Cumin, ground cumin, is one of my favorite ingredients, ground and seeds. So half a teaspoon of that, and then the fun part is, as I said, you can just adjust the seasonings. Cumin seeds, I like to toast cumin seeds, just lightly toast them on medium flame in a dry pot, and you're good to go. It smells so good. Chaat masala, I think I might have sent a link for the chaat masala. This is like an all-purpose seasoning, which is just like a go-to seasoning. I love this on, if you're having French fries, or potatoes, just sprinkle it on anything basically. And if you can make fruit salad out of it, sprinkle it on that. You can have any types of vegetables, delicious. So all the seasoning has gone. I'm going to be adding lemon juice. So
Kausar,
Yes.
quick question. These are the potato cutlets that you're making?
yes, these are the potato cutlets.
Thank you. There was a question in the chat.
Okay, yeah. If you missed out, please ask. I will let you know. So these are the potato cutlets or the aloo tikkis that I'm making. So I squeezed in half a lemon in there. It depends on the tartness you want. You don't want these. The flavors should not be very tart. They are mildly sour, spicy, and absolutely delicious. And now what I'm going to add in there after that is I have chopped up onion and cilantro and green chilies. So for the green chilies, I've used Anaheim. It's your call. You like it spicy, you can just chop up serrano. And you can see I've added, it can be white or red onions. So I'm adding red onions. I like the color of it. It just, food should look beautiful, right? So it's finely chopped. So make sure the onions are finely chopped, and I put cilantro in there. It's all mixed up. I'm going to add this for that bite. And they cook, so you don't need to really worry about it too much. I used up about half a cup of that. So now I'm going to be mixing all these things, and I'm going to be using my hands for it. In fact, I put on gloves to do that. It's better. And then you can just taste it. So what I also like to do is when I am mashing up the potatoes, I use a potato masher. But my favorite thing to do is use my hands and my knuckles. So that's how I mash up my potatoes. And I'm telling you, that really mashes them well. And at this point, you can feel also if there are any lumps in there. And you can just press it down. And your knuckle mashing is, I tell you, it's the best thing to do. So at this point, when you mixed it all up, you can go ahead and taste it. And I have my salt on the side, which I missed out. I have my salt. Salt is to taste. I'm putting in 1 teaspoon. And you can also add pepper if you like. Mixing it, and then I'm going to be tasting it. Don't be afraid of salt. A lot of people, I mean, if you cannot have salt for any reason, that's something different. But always remember that salt really brings out the flavor of food. The correct amount, not overpowering anything. Are you coming to make these with me?
Yes, of course.
Ready. Just a little more salt. And I think the spiciness is great. And I don't want it to be too sour. So that's also great. Now what you can do is, I'm going to push back the spices. Oops, I dropped my black pepper. I cleaned up. That's okay. Now what you do is, when we are making it over here in the kitchen, we need a consistent size to be giving it to our customers. So we use ice cream scoop, any size of ice cream scoop. I do this at home too. I think it just looks pretty. But I guess right
Do you
now,
want me to grab?
yeah,
grab
sure.
it here?
Thank you. So what you can do is, and if you feel that, would you grab me a bowl to just give it a little water? What I want to show you is that you can either grease your hands or you can just mildly wet your hands and make these. So I'm going to scoop this out. You can just keep scooping these out. That's my black pepper, which I'm going to be clearing up right now. Just give me a sec. So these are going to be mini ones. If you are making a platter, like what we do is, if we have a special holiday or a festivity or celebration, we make kebab platters. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing right now, making a kebab platter. And we can be, so you can make them into mini kebabs. So these are going to be the mini potato cutlets. You can make them bigger. And as I said, you can make them large and make a burger out of it. So, all right, a couple of them. So I'm just lightly, I just wet my hands with water and that's it. Now it's very important, just press it down because you don't want it to be cracking, and roll it and press it down and gently just from the sides. There you go. And I've got egg over here and I've got breadcrumbs. These are panko breadcrumbs. That's what we love using. They become nice and crispy. There you go. What a beautiful one you've made.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not the best at consistency at Project Fix, but
Oh,
these look pretty good.
she wants you to praise her. Of
So
course.
panko breadcrumbs are Japanese style
Yeah.
breadcrumbs. I believe they're made with, well, white bread.
White bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I also like to do is for my next recipe, I had fresh bread, white bread, and I just put it in the food processor. And I love to make fresh breadcrumbs also, which I use a lot. So once these are made, we are going to. So a lot of times I just coat this in egg and I fry it. And then you can actually put another fried egg on it and have it, right?
That's delicious.
Yeah, that's delicious too. And if you want to make a burger out of it, just put it in egg and fry it. You put it in the burger with the chutney, sliced onions, tomatoes. Oh gosh, it's delicious. So a quick wrap of the egg and then the breadcrumbs. Egg and breadcrumbs, and then we will get the pan going.
Okay.
So these are really, really easy to make. And you know, we were talking about having kids in the kitchen to help. Sometimes moms don't always want that, but it's something to really keep them busy when it's something, a bonding time, or it's time for them to be free or holidays or whatever, maybe on weekends. So, and kids love these. Keep them less spicy, and kids love having these. Kids or adults, I'm making these for my kids all the time. But kebabs are a really, really big traditional thing for us. And I'm going to get this out of the way, wash my hands, and be back.
Should I put a little oil in?
Yes. So, just enough to coat. We don't want to rot. Okay. So I don't like to deep fry these. Yeah, just a little more. So I can really show how much oil. Just a little more. So as you can see, I just got enough, a little more than coating. You just want to be dipping in it. And then you just fry it golden brown. Let that heat up and we will move on to that. Okay. Any questions for this? This was pretty easy, so I don't think people might
There's a question in the chat, Kausar, about substituting russet potatoes, if that's all that you have on hand.
Absolutely, you can. You can. There's no hard and fast rule. It's just a preference. I just feel if you are working with russet potatoes to make these, I would advise you not to work with them or mash them too much. They're really starchy and they release more starch. So you will feel the texture changes a little, but they're as delicious. So you can definitely use russet potatoes too. If that's what you have in the house, use those. So while the oil is heating up, I would like to move on to my next recipe. Oh, okay.
It was hot.
It was hot. Okay.
I just really want to eat them.
Yeah, they are so good. So we are, you know, traditionally, what we do is on a lot of us celebrate Thanksgiving in Pakistan, right? It's to be thankful and or whatever occasion it is, it's very, very traditional to have a platter of different kebabs. And we have a trolley, which I remember as a child, my mom would say, set up the trolley and get the kebabs ready, get the chutneys ready, and then just roll it in when the guests come. So it's always been really traditional to have these kebabs. It's always, it looks beautiful as well. So the next kebab, seekh kebabs. Now seekh is a skewer, and you know you have the metal skewer, you have the large ones as well. When you are doing a barbecue or something, I'm sure a lot of you would know about that. So I have this also, but the wooden skewers, because we are going to be making maybe smaller ones, and you're making a platter. I took these small wooden skewers and always remember to soak them in lukewarm water for at least 30 minutes to 1 hour. You can even soak them overnight. That's even better. Just suppose you forget and you are just getting the kebabs ready and you think that, oh gosh, I forgot. Soak them in a little oil, just even for 15 minutes, and you'll come through. Otherwise, they tend to burn up a little. The sticks will be really, really dark brown, especially if you're grilling. So I soak these, and I've got these small ones. We have. This is a really, really popular street side food. Kebabs, seekh kebabs, the skewer kebabs have tons and tons of recipes with tons and tons of ingredients in it. I have a very simple recipe, which is so easy to make, and these are ingredients that you have at home, so you don't really need to worry about it. Using ground meat, we use a lot of lamb, goat meat, beef, chicken. I'm using chicken over here. I'll tell you the difference. The consistency obviously is very different when you're using chicken, when you're using beef, or you're using lamb. So I have about half a pound of chicken over here, and I have chopped cilantro. Add that. So there's a lot of cilantro in this. I love cilantro. And if you don't have cilantro, or if you prefer parsley, the curly parsley, chop it up, and that's also really good in it. And then onions. Now, very important is that your onions should be really finely chopped. Not minced, but just fine chopped. So half a pound of that. So I've just put in about 2 spoonfuls of that in this. Green chilies, again, if you want it to be mild, you can have serrano or Anaheim like I have, finely chopped, or you can have serrano if you want it to be spicy, because the main spice in this are the green chilies. There's no other spice in it. You can make it spicy, keep it mild, or sometimes I do a combination of Anaheim and serrano, so you can do that as well. And then, of course, you want your salt. of salt, and then ginger and garlic. Ginger and garlic, I am going to be adding, this is both, I mix them both up basically. So it's half a pound. So I'm putting 1 whole teaspoon of mixed ginger and garlic. If you are using beef, so remember that ginger is a great tenderizer. And if you're using beef, you can always go ahead and add more ginger to it. And then paprika. I like using smoked paprika. It really gives a good flavor, but you can also just use regular paprika. Should be, I'm putting in about a teaspoon. I love the smokiness of paprika. And the last thing that you add in this is egg. Now for chicken, what I did was we whisked together 1 egg, and I'm just using 1/4 of this in half a pound of the chicken. So how do you divide an egg? You just have to beat up 1 full egg and then you have to divide it. So it's just about 1/4 of an egg in this. If you're using beef, for beef, you can put a full egg. If you put a full egg in this, this will become too moist and it will be really difficult to assemble. And there you go, everything is there, mixing it all up. And you just mix it all up. And it's really best. One last thing I'm going to be putting in and showing you, breadcrumbs. In the recipe, it says fresh bread. So these were, it says 4 slices of bread. I have 2 slices of bread over here. And if they're really large, mine were a little big, so I'm going to use half of that. I just put this in the food processor and process it. The recipe, this particular recipe, as I said, is a different recipe. There are recipes you don't need to put egg in it. You don't need to put the breadcrumbs in it. And in this too, if there's somebody who wants to be free of that, you don't need to. If you use half of that and you mix it together really well. So this basically binds it together and it makes it really, really moist as well. So they're nice and soft. So if you're using beef, as I said, the consistency would be completely different. There you go. I've mixed it up. And you can make this, marinate this meat a night before, and it works really well. And if you're using beef, you can use papaya paste in it. If you're familiar with it, you get ready-made papaya paste, or I just buy sometimes raw papaya and make a paste out of it. And that is a great tenderizer. So this is done. I'm going to put this away. Now you're coming to make some. Yeah. So there you go. This is all ready. Now what I have over here is, I have some lemon juice actually also, which I wanted to add. I will just add it. Use my hands because I'm going to be using my hands. Quickly wash my hands.
So are we greasing our hands or oil water?
We are greasing our hands now. So what you do is, if you are using any skewer, the metal one or the wooden one, you will grease it, and then you grease your hands too. That's right. Yeah.
I like playing with my food.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will grease the stick.
And then break off a piece. Now the breadcrumbs have, this has, you can see that it's binded together pretty well. It's not that soft. It depends on the size of the kebab. We traditionally have huge skewers on the street side where they make one big kebab.
Yes.
And then they cut it up and serve you. So what I'm doing is took a big chunk and then again press it. You want to bind this together. You don't want it to crack up. And then your onions, as I mentioned, should be finely chopped. So, and then you just put it in the skewer and you shape it out. So you can have big skewers too. I just got these. You can make it as thin, or actually let me make the smaller one for you.
how thin or
Yeah,
what's
so
the size?
or a little thicker than a sausage actually.
Oh,
I
thicker
always
than a sausage.
describe it that way. So there you go.
Coun-
These, yes.
Counselor, and Van just doing a time check. We're at 1:22. And I wanted also to let you know that you're getting a lot of love in chat. Everybody's
you.
thinks this is a great program and they appreciate the cooking classes. So thank you
Yeah.
both.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just making the last one and
It's kind of ugly.
no, that so
It will
no,
taste
this
good.
is
What
fine.
did I do
It's
wrong?
fine. So we can just fry it actually.
So
So
I'm gonna wash my hands, then I'll be ready to showcase.
so this is the last one I'm doing, and I'm just going to quickly show you a chutney that I make with it, and that will just take a minute after I wash my hands. So you can see, you can even, I just love, so the signature look is this hole in a seek kebab when you pull it out. So that's the signature look. And I pan fry them, and we can also bake them. Let me get this out of the way. Quickly wash my hands and coming back. We have,
Are you pan frying them?
yeah. We can go on with any questions if anyone has questions while I do
While,
this.
while she's getting ready, I wanted to show you how these pot stickers turned out. I have to say, they're beautiful. So check out the, I'll do this camera, the bottom. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I really think,
So
I think it's the oil. And I put a little more than I usually do this time, and it got really brown and came right out of the pan. So nice. My kids would be so proud of me.
I know.
Oh, and I wanted to show the egg rolls. Well,
You want to show it here? I can move this up.
are you sure? You
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
it?
go
Okay.
ahead.
I think yeah, so you can see the white ones and then the brown ones. I mean, but they all taste really good anyways. Yep. That's it. That's what I made.
All right, so you don't want to miss out on this chutney. I've got tamarind over here. I use blocks of tamarind. I soak it in warm water and take out the pulp, and that's what I've done. This is a little less than a cup. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the pan's getting hot. Should I put in a little
so yeah,
oil and then?
Yeah.
Then,
put it a little oil. So when you're frying the kebabs, if you're frying them, it should be shallow fried the same amount I showed you before, and then on medium low heat. So I'm going to pop in the tamarind pulp in there, and then I've got mint leaves. These are a little more than a cup. Let's shake that. And green chili again, for really mild, use Anaheim, otherwise use Serrano to make it spicy. I use half an Anaheim over here, putting that in. I toasted the cumin seeds again, and you can just roughly ground them, but I did not. I'm just going to put these in. And then salt to taste. And brown sugar, it's just packed brown sugar. It will be 1 to 2 tablespoons depending on how sour your tamarind is. And then you just run the machine, and that's it. And this is done. Oh, this is so good. So I also have. Okay, so this is done. All done actually. I'm just going to transfer this, and you can see the thickness. It's a beautiful color and flavor. And with that, I'm serving mine with, we traditionally serve these with just like salsa, just slice up onions and tomatoes and lemon juice in it, and salt. You can even just slice it up just like that. You don't need to have anything else in it. batter is ready. If you want to divide the meat and the chicken, that's how you do it. I'm going to put yours here. Okay. So we can get this out. Okay. So we just want to show, display this for everyone. Beautiful one, that looks so nice.
It looks fantastic.
And just the kebabs are coming, and that's it.
So we have a couple of minutes and we'd like to at least offer this opportunity to any of our attendings to ask a question. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. And again, we have a couple of minutes if you want to ask a question of our guests today. The food looks amazing.
Yeah. Chicken cooked up really fast. So there you go. These are beautiful, as you can see. You want them to be charred, golden brown, and chicken cooked up really fast. So when you serve these on skewers, it looks fancy, right? Looks beautiful. A lot of hard work, but this particular recipe is really easy.
So it says, so excited for the tamarind mint chutney. Thank you all for the recipes. It looks delicious.
Welcome. Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions. Hey, thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our food, our stories. That's what we love doing here at Project Feast. I mean, we love the workforce training we do. We love teaching and getting to know all of our different apprentices. But I think the best part is learning all of their different culinary backgrounds. They have so much to share, and I have been exposed to so many different foods. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that about this job. So thank you for letting us share with you guys. And yeah, any last words, Kazer?
Well, no, as always, we love doing this, and thank you to everyone who joined in. It's a great opportunity to be sharing our cuisine.
Thank you both. Last comment, potato cutlets and chutney are on my dinner menu tonight. Project Feast is fabulous, trying new foods all the time. And looking forward to receiving the recipes. Thank you so much. Great class and good instructions. Can't wait to try. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.